Hey there! Welcome to Exposing the Hidden Reality. I'm Annette, career reinvention coach and caffeine-powered human.
And I'm Sandra, women's life and leadership coach. I bring the woo to our conversations.
And this is the podcast where we call out all the unspoken stuff, biases, outdated expectations, and all the things women navigate in work and in life.
Yes. We bring to light what we see happening. Smart, capable women stuck in the same patterns because no one really talks about what's going on.
We'll bring some difficult truths.
Welcome, insightful experts.
And sprinkle in a little chaos and fun.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't, right?
It's true.
So whether you're walking the dog or tuning in during your commute, we're glad you're here. Let's do this.
Let's do this. You want to do the let's do this together? Like 3, 2, 1, let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to see you. I am Annette Garsteck, joined by my sidekick, Sandra Wind, of course. And today we are joined by a local Northeastern Ohioer. Is that a word? Should I have said it that way? I'm not sure. Jessica. And Jessica is bringing an important topic to us today about perimenopause and that it's not too early to investigate that for yourself. So ladies, listen up. You need this information. Jessica, will you tell us more about you and what you do?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. I am a nurse practitioner for the past 11 years. And although my specialty is not women's health, my specialty is critical care. Obviously, I've had a lot of experience in healthcare. I think I've been in healthcare for almost 20 years. I was a nurse prior to this. And then I am also a double certified nutrition coach. And I wanted to share a little bit about my own perimenopause journey, how I got to where I am, and how I had been brushed off by multiple providers. And I know I'm not the only one.
Can we talk about what that is? Why are so many women dismissed and gaslit and told it's anxiety? Like, why is it so hard for us to get answers or at least get somebody to listen? I mean, I would settle for somebody listening half the time. Why does the medical community make this so difficult for women?
I don't have a good answer for that, aside from the only thing that I have come up with is I think there's such a wide variety of symptoms with perimenopause. Maybe that is part of it. And maybe they're not recognizing that like this could be hormones shifting could be the contributing factor. And I think we are, as a medical community, very quick to jump to here's medication for that, rather than like digging a little bit deeper and like what could be the root cause. And I think there's a multitude of reasons that happens, and like that are much bigger than us here, maybe limited appointment times, maybe limited education surrounding women's health in medical school, because I don't think that typical medical school, you get a lot of training. And I have not gone to medical school, so I cannot speak completely to that. But also, I think as a provider, it's also our job to educate ourselves on topics within our area of specialty, or, even if you're a general, provider, practitioner, flaking on my words here. Primary care, I think you still need to be educated on a lot of topics, even if you're not an expert, but just like, and especially if you have people coming back for more than one appointment with similar complaints. And, I had seen, I think, my primary care at least 3 times. Now, she did do some workup. She did do some hormone testing, which a lot of, I think, providers won't test hormones. No. But they will treat you based on symptoms. And I definitely was not experiencing that. So my labs came back as normal. So, and normal does not necessarily mean optimal. And if anyone has experience in any realm of functional medicine, nutrition, all of that, you know that like your labs could be within normal range, but you might not feel normal, which I think is also really difficult, especially for, you know, maybe somebody who doesn't have a lot of extra time to look into things. But I think when you have somebody coming back repeatedly with multiple complaints, and especially when you're checking things off, like, you know, I presented with extreme fatigue. Yes, I have young children, but it was like more than that. We're not in the newborn stage, right? Loss of libido. That was never a problem for me previously. Gaining weight in my midsection, despite like lifting weights, tracking my food for the most part, you know, watching intake. I'm trying to think because I know there's more than just these couple. Brain fog. There we go. Wasn't even thinking of that one.
What about sleep? Sleep is a common.
Sleep wasn't terrible, but night sweat for sure. There's another big one. Changes in my cycle where like my period was super heavy. She did send me for a vaginal ultrasound to like work that up and rule out anything there. Shocker, it was normal.
You know, Jessica, I'm going to jump in here because I have my own personal journey with this, and it was incredibly frustrating. You know, at 34, well, at 33, actually, I went to the doctor and said, I'm having irregular menstrual cycles. Sometimes it's like it's not even there. And sometimes it goes on for 2 weeks. And they told me that because I was overweight, that I was retaining estrogen or something like that. And so it was pretty normal. Okay. And then I moved. And so I, you know, went and had some appointments, and they did the same thing. They sent me for an ultrasound. They did some internal testing. It all came back normal. And I was told that, you know, when I'm ready to have children, I should come back and see the specialist. Fast forward, I moved again, and now I'm 36. So now this is 2 years I've been exploring this. I've been being told that I am 3 years. I'm too young to be going through menopause. Yeah, okay. It's okay that you wake up and you look like you just had a shower in your bed, and that, you know, you're sitting in an audience and all of a sudden you are like drenched. Yeah, no, it's not. It's all in your head. It's in your imagination. You are way too young for this. Yeah. So now fast forward, I arrive in Cleveland at age 36. So I'm looking for a new doctor who finally sends me for an FSH test and finds out that I'm actually postmenopausal.
Which that is a blood test, and it is simple to get done.
And I was like so furious. Well, one, I was devastated because I wanted to have children.
Absolutely.
And two, and so to be told that there's never going to be an option around having children. You never tell Sandra never, because that's the first thing she'll do is to go figure out, well, how's this going to happen then? Because it's not going to happen the natural way. And that's a different episode. And if you want the episode number, we'll go get it and post it here. But anyway, yeah, I was so devastated. I went into a really big funk. It took 2 years of like a lot of work, a lot of emotional work to deal with the repercussions of something that I had been trying to get to the bottom of for 3 years. And besides the fact that no one listened to me, it was that I was so dismissed. And to think all they needed to do was this blood draw, which takes 2 minutes?
Yeah.
So I know this probably isn't the optimal time for it, but I'm going to throw it in here because I think that we should bring it up so that we don't get bogged down, because I'm sure conversations will continue. If you know that something is not right with your body, listen to your gut. Do not take, like you said, Sandra, don't take no for an answer. Don't take never for an answer. Go and see somebody else. And you may have to see a bunch of other people, but keep pushing for yourself. You know yourself best, right? Like there is no reason to not, I know it can be exhausting, but if you know something's wrong, there's probably a reason that you feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that encouragement to advocate for yourself.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. No, it's so exhausting because, of course, that's not the only thing going on in your life, right? You're working, you have other obligations, you might have a partner or a family. I mean, it's definitely exhausting, but nobody's going to do it for us. So I agree. I agree. You have to advocate for yourself. I find, and Jessica, I'm wondering what your experience has been, Sandra, yours too. I find that female providers, not always, but are more likely to listen. So that's usually when I'm feeling stuck. I'm looking at my provider pool and saying, am I with the right person? Is this the right person going to take me forward? And then I also love to ask for referrals, because if somebody I know and trust already has somebody that they know and trust, that might be a really good place to start.
Absolutely. And like if you're in a mom group on Facebook or something like that, where I live, we have an amazing group for that, where like if somebody said, like recommends somebody for something, I was like, I'm trusting that because they wouldn't put it in here if they didn't think it was a good source. Interestingly enough, all of the physicians that I saw were all female. And I think, like I said, I had over 6 visits between primary care. I was referred to endocrinology because my thyroid was enlarged. I told her, because it was like endocrinologist, hormones. She looked at me like I was nuts. My GYN told me that both my primary care and GYN told me I was too young for perimenopause. And I think when I started like down this road, I was like 41 or 42, and I had kids later in life. So like, yes, I had young children because my kids are 3 and 5 and I'm 44 now. But I mean, I was probably postpartum and heading into perimenopause at the same time. My GYN looked at me and was like, you're tired because you have young kids. And I was like, that does not explain the heavy periods. That doesn't explain like all these other changes. Like, yes, it can account for some of it, but like I'm sitting here telling you, like, it's not just because of sleep, right? I eventually ended up with a women's health nurse practitioner that came highly recommended. Let me rewind a little bit, because during this process, I got my second nutrition certification, which was a functional nutrition certification. With my background as a nurse practitioner and then being a nutrition coach, I was like, this is an amazing opportunity to like be able to weave in some functional testing. And so I was in the journey of like trying to figure out what's going on. I suspected perimenopause the entire time. And so there's something called a Dutch test. I don't know if either one of you have heard of it.
No.
It's a functional test, and you take it actually at home. It looks at hormones, and it's you do it at home. It's a dried urine test, and it's over a 24-hour period. And traditional medicine doesn't always take functional things into consideration, but I ended up getting a Dutch test, and it's something I can now order for clients. And when I got it, I was in this program getting the certification. So my mentor helped me interpret it, and it was a great learning experience, because like, what better to learn than on yourself? Yeah. Shocker, I am in perimenopause and I'm estrogen dominant. So I wasn't like eliminating estrogen the way that I need to, which was also contributing to some of the symptoms. This test for me, and even if it's not supported by like traditional medical community, I don't care. It provided answers for me. It gave me validation, if nothing else, that I was not getting from anywhere else. So just to know that, like, yeah, I'm not crazy. Everything I was feeling was indeed true. It was just like so eye-opening for me. And from then I was able to like make shifts with my diet to like eliminate some things. Like I had cut out alcohol, I think already, or around that time when I found that out. I did dry January this past year. And I was like, you know what? It truly is not making me feel that great. Affecting sleep. And like, it's wild when you cut it out, even if you're not having it in large quantities. And when you start introducing it a little bit back, if you really tune into like how it makes you feel, sometimes there's not as many benefits as you may think that there are. So made some dietary changes as well, added in some supplements that were like specific to my test results, like areas that I was lacking, and not like what you see on like Instagram because some influencer is taking, right? Like more specific to you. And then gave myself some time to like, I don't necessarily want to say like heal, but like slow down a little bit and focus more on sleep and recovery. And then eventually did a like diet phase deficit, calorie deficit to lose some of the weight and was successful with losing the weight. I have some pictures on Instagram. It's like one of my pinned posts. I cannot believe like just how much bloating and weight I was carrying in my midsection during that time. So started having success there. Eventually, and I was still like on this journey to figure out like, okay, well, I do still want more information. Yes, I made all these changes and I am feeling better, but I'm still like not feeling as good as I think that I could. Yeah. So found a women's health nurse practitioner and locally who came highly recommended. Made an appointment with her. Of course, then you wait a few months to get in, and she was amazing. And she's like, I told her my story. She's like, you're absolutely in perimenopause. That's not inappropriate. I mean, Sandra, you were probably really young to be experiencing what you experienced, but I mean, perimenopause symptoms can show up as early as like mid-30s.
Yes.
So you were probably just like, again, outside that normal range, right? Or you were.
And I think that part of it was there were what appeared to be easy answers. You're too young, right? Mm-hmm. You're overweight. Right.
But lab testing is so like that should be one of the first things you can do. It's so easy to like eliminate or rule out or rule in, you know, some answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was really, I mean, I have children. I have 3 children now, but the at the time it was pretty devastating news.
Yes. Absolutely. I can only imagine. Yeah. Especially because you had no inkling of that. Like you knew something wasn't right, but like that was not the answer you were expecting.
No. And to think it was just, like I said, a 2-minute blood test could have answered so many questions for all of us. But yeah, I think what I learned through this process is, don't be too trusting. Mm-hmm. Investigate. Yes. Talk to everybody you can. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's exhausting. And sometimes we don't have enough time to do all the things we need to, especially when we have a full-time job, right? Yeah. But I think it was an important lesson, especially as I moved into motherhood, because there were so many times that doctors told me X or Y about my kids. And I was like, this is not enough. And it was that experience that really propelled me into, we're going to push a little bit more. I'm going to be your worst nightmare.
And when you have children, of course you're going to do that for them. There's no second guessing. But I think us as women put ourselves on the back burner because we're taking care of everybody else.
Exactly.
We need to pause, and you have got to take care of yourself and put yourself first. Nobody else is doing that. And this is not just like with providers. This is like health, taking care of yourself, all of the things. Like, I mean, I know that I have horrible mom guilt, and I used to like working out, you know, things like that. I'm not making time to do, but ultimately, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of everybody else down the road. So you're only doing them a disservice by not making the time and taking care of yourself.
And you know, we often at this point will say something like, you know, the oxygen mask analogy, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the other part that often gets missed when we talk about this is that it's not just about taking care of yourself. It's what are you modeling? So if you have daughters, what are they seeing you do? Right? They're seeing you put everybody else ahead of yourself. Mm-hmm. So when you tell them you need to take care of yourself, are they listening to you? No, because they see what you're doing. Right. And so the important part is to reflect on what is it that I want my children to take away from this experience? Or even, I mean, we often think about children, but what about your nieces and your nephews, mm-hmm. right? What are they seeing you do? What are the young women that are in your orbit? What are they seeing you do? Yeah. Do they see you advocating? Do they see you modeling behavior that says, I have agency and I'm going to look after myself?
Mm-hmm.
And I empower you to do the same.
And those little eyes and ears are always watching and listening. So now if I can't get a workout outside of time with my kids, I will work out while they're around. And it's funny that they see that, but now they both come in like the gym area and they're like, Mommy, I want to work out too. And my daughter's picking up 3-pound weights and, doing things. But I'm like, that's what she's going to grow up with normalized, right? Not that like she never saw me doing any kind of exercising, strength training or anything like that. Like that will be her normal. And I know growing up for me, that is not something that I witnessed in my house. Nobody was exercising or drinking water, or no, times are different now. Growing up, like you didn't drink water ever. That just was not the thing. Well, like yogurt Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah, and you don't drink water because you don't get personal time in the bathroom anyway, right? So it's like,
oh my gosh, it's funny.
That was one of the things about having a and it was one of the things that I laughed about having a dog. It's like, oh my God, I've gone back to 2-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, mine pushes the door open. I have a mini.
Yes, exactly.
Like, nobody's even here except for you. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
The things we talk about live.
I think it's great. I think it mirrors real life. Seriously.
It does. Right? And I think it's like we say in our intro, these are the real things that we need to be talking about as women, right?
Yeah.
These are the things that we talk about at dinner with our really good friends. And, Jessica, we'll have to plan a dinner, especially since you're just down the street, right?
I love that. Yes.
But what about the people who don't get these conversations? So yes, right. This is really important. Yeah. So Jessica,
yes,
I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to ask you, what can women do if they suspect that they need some support?
So as far as, finding a provider in that sense, so after seeing this women's health nurse practitioner, she actually left the hospital system that I was in. Okay. I had started on some progesterone, and I want to share this story because, again, I think it's important for other women to hear this, because everything that we put in our body, any kind of medication, even if it's like a hormone or something else, can have side effects. Yes. So I started at not a lower dose, which I guess I didn't recognize right off the bat. And 3 weeks into taking it, I was close to my cycle. I have an Oura ring and pay a lot of attention to my cycle, because definitely there's mood swings, and, I can sense what am I craving, food wise? How am I eating? How am I treating myself, and how irritable I am? And I'll look and I'll be like, oh, we're 5 days out. No, And I was approaching my cycle, had been on it for 3 weeks, and wanted to crawl out of my skin, could not stand it. Not chest pain. I don't want to describe it as that, but I don't know if you've ever experienced anxiety and you have chest pressure with it. And not if you've had anxiety, it's not go to the hospital, right? But it's just, notice it's there. I think of some other symptoms, and I was like, what is going on? This is extreme compared to what my cycle. Comparison game is a big one for me. Close to my cycle, like I said, not being super nice to myself. I was, what is happening? And I was like, what has changed recently? I had started progesterone 3 weeks prior to that. And I start doing some digging. And if you are on too high of a dose, you can actually have the opposite of what the anticipated not treatment, but how you feel on it, right? Or side effects. So I couldn't call that provider back because she wasn't with that system anymore. So I reached out to my primary care, the one that had told me I wasn't in perimenopause. And then I kind of laughed to myself. I had stopped taking it, and I kind of laughed to myself because I was like, well, maybe you should read that note that's in my chart. I just asked if she would be willing to put in for a lower dose until I could like get in to be get in to see someone. And people are probably like, well, why would you keep her as a primary care? It is hard to find a primary care, and especially to get into someone. So I am stuck with her because I'm like, well, if I get strep throat, all of the things that you need help, right? And obviously I'm advocating for myself, and we'll figure the rest of, a different provider in the future, but sometimes you just have to do that. So she put in for a lower dose, and she put in a referral to menopause clinic, which I did not even know the hospital system I was at offered that. And I was like, amazing. And then I look shortly before my appointment when I'm like in my chart doing all the things to register. And I was like, that's not who that appointment should be with. That is not menopause clinic. The scheduler had made an error and scheduled me with my prior GYN. And I was like, the one who told me also I couldn't be in perimenopause. It was like, something tells me she's not who I want to see for hormone replacement therapy. So I canceled that appointment, and I honestly made an appointment with MIDI Health because I was so pissed and so frustrated. I went online. I scheduled it for the next day. Got in. They take insurance. This is not a plug for them, but my experience with them was positive. Got in the next day. She actually listened to all of my concerns. Even though she didn't have experience with functional testing, she was like, that's not my area of expertise, but would you be willing to submit the results and I'll talk to my collaborator about it? Which to me, that's all I'm asking is like an honest response from a provider. I mean, if I don't have an answer for a patient, I am the first to be like, I don't know that, but I am happy to ask XYZ that I work with who maybe has more experience with it. So I saw this was the beginning of December. So clearly this journey's been going on for a long time, because I think I started seeing someone about this in like March of 24.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said earlier, ask your friends. If, friends, mom groups, I think are a great resource. But like I said, my experience with MIDI was positive. And you can get in quickly with them, which I think is really amazing. And the woman I had the appointment with was very responsive, and I appreciate the fact that she listened to everything that I said and didn't, they do sell some of their own products, which she like mentioned one that could be helpful, but she's like, it wasn't like they were like jamming it down your throat or anything, with some companies that is the case.
That's amazing. So you combined sort of your existing panel of doctors that you see in person with an online service provider. You sought after your own testing and you finally got some answers. And then you started, I would say, experimenting, right? With treatment.
So, which is also why they call it practicing medicine. Because it's not the same for everybody. And like what works for one person might not work for another person in the same way. Like somebody on the progesterone dose that I was prescribed, they may feel amazing with that, but like that didn't work for me. So again, just continue advocating for yourself, asking those questions, continuing to push is unfortunately, I think, how it has to be, because even if someone was a good provider for Annette, maybe they're not for Sandra, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's very true. And I feel like the healthcare systems, I don't know if they're evolving. I think the consumer is evolving. The patient is evolving. And there's so much information that's out there. There's a lot of actual doctors, certified nurse practitioners like yourself, nutritionists. There's lots of people that are highly credentialed out on social media talking, sharing. And what I find really powerful too is then when they have their own health challenge, they're talking about that too.
Yeah.
So we see that providers are also people, and they go through things. They have bad experiences with health systems. Right. So no one's exempt. Not that that makes it right, but you feel less alone. And I think for me personally, that fuels my advocacy. Okay.
Yeah.
People smarter than me, people that know how to navigate these systems are having trouble. I shouldn't feel bad. I should just continue forward.
Which is what makes me so angry on this topic. Like this makes me want to rage, because I'm like, if I'm experiencing this, then, and I'm like thinking about like the side effects of things, what about the women that don't even know to like think about the side effects of things, or who are, my primary care offered me Wellbutrin after like my second visit, which is an like anxiety antidepressant. And I was like, I'm not depressed or anxious. Maybe I am anxious around my cycle, but it's literally cycle dependent. So I know that that's not like across the board. And I don't want to take a daily medication again that has its own risks and side effects. So what's happening to all these other women? And her, when she was telling me about Wellbutrin, she's like, oh, well, it also could suppress your appetite so you could have some weight loss with it. And I was like, no, I didn't come to you for weight loss. That was like not why I'm here. And also you didn't ask me anything about my lifestyle or diet or exercise, or is that even a goal? You know what I mean? I don't know. It makes me really mad because of so many women that I know that are out there that are just being brushed off and given like a Band-Aid for whatever is going on that could cause other issues in itself.
Yes.
So I know that this is slightly on the edge of off topic, but I do remember an NPR article or conversation a few years ago that was talking about the medical field has become so specialized that there is a narrow range of things that each doctor is looking at, and that the opportunity to look at health from a broad spectrum has become very limited, and this is impacting fetal birth, maternal fetal health, and so it was within that perspective that they were talking about women's health, but it's not completely unrelated to the scope of our discussion. There are, especially when hormones are involved, there are so many different things that could be impacting this, that to have such a narrow focus does not help try and narrow down or figure out what's going on.
Yes, totally agree. I think I just lost my train of thought on this one, but I don't disagree. And I don't think our modern healthcare system, there's any part of it that's about preventative measures either.
Right.
Which I think is why there is so much that's starting to happen with like direct primary cares, where you have like a membership, or there's I can't think of the company that does it, but they will do a whole host of labs and give some feedback. So even if you're feeling good, you have like a baseline of like, hey, here's when I was 30 or 35, and here's how everything looked. And you could have something to look back on 5, 10, 15 years later. What's changed in those markers? What's changed with how I'm feeling? But yes, and looking at the whole picture, that I think is something, like I said, I introduced that my background as a nurse practitioner is critical care, but obviously I've been in the healthcare field for a long time. Yeah. I think this is what's so unique about me also being a nutrition coach now, is because I have a lot of women that come to me wanting weight loss. Their goal is weight loss. They don't want to go on a shot or a pill or whatever else. They want to like truly make changes. But a lot of them are coming to me when they are in their, later 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're getting labs done and they're pre-diabetic, or they have to go on blood pressure medication, so I think it just gives me a really unique perspective because I understand the medications that they're on, but also can provide the support and accountability so that they can reach their goals without having to like add in more medication. And hopefully with those lifestyle changes can make, come off some of those medications at some point.
Yeah, I love that. My family and I recently switched to a direct primary care provider.
Yeah.
It was mid last year, and it has been nothing short of life-changing for us.
That's awesome.
Because we actually get to know her and she gets to know us.
Yeah.
And so reachable. And we have a senior that lives with us. My husband's mom lives with us. And the amount of jockeying we used to have to do to get her seen. And there were so many urgent care visits and emergency room visits just because we couldn't talk to anybody else.
Yes. Right.
And now we have this membership that gives us access. We can text our provider. We can call our provider on the weekends. The office knows who we are and will take a message and get back to us same day. It's been a really changing experience for us. And it costs about the price of the copay.
Yeah.
To go see the provider every month.
It's so interesting.
It's
so interesting, that shift, because think about like lots and lots of years ago, that's like how things were. Like your doctor knew your family. I'm saying he, it doesn't have to be he, but I mean, stereotypically it probably was a male, but knew your family and would come to your home and see you and take care of you. Right. And had a much broader, I guess, knowledge base. And I think things obviously are super specialized. So some of that has to be specialized, but I think we just sometimes lose that human touch in healthcare where, both as like an employee and as a consumer of it, like you don't want to be just a number to anyone.
Yeah.
So with our pediatrician, thanks, Dr. Lonzer, I love you. She knew how neurotic I was, right? So, and she also knew that, if I'm here, it's not the normal things. Like there's something weird going on, or, maybe it's just Sandra overreacting, but she at least, she had a sense of who I was as a person, and that if I was there and I was saying something was off, there was probably, it wasn't just the simple answer. Often it was, but at the same time, when things got serious, it was like, I know Sandra well enough. She wouldn't have scheduled this appointment if it wasn't that there was something else happening.
Right.
And there's a sense of trust that's developed between the doctor and the patient as a result, right? Case in point, when I took my 11-year-old, who's now almost 20, to the hospital, and we walk in and I'm like, I think he's got appendicitis, and they took us back right away, and the doctor said, no, I don't think this is appendicitis. I looked at her and I said, I am telling you, he is either birthing a kidney stone or an appendix.
11.
He's 11.
Yeah.
I am telling you, because I have a personal experience with this, and this is not like my husband has kidney stone problems, and I'm like, I have seen this before, so it's one of that, or he has appendicitis. It's not something different. This is not my child. And sure enough, 2 hours later, they found out, he had a ruptured appendix.
Wow. Thank goodness he has you as his mom.
But she was going to send us home, and I was like, no, I am not taking him home. This is not him. Yeah. And I think that comes from, it's like, there are easy answers, but you really have to push when you know that there is not something, when there's something that isn't right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Trust that instinct always, for your kids, for yourself.
Yes. So when would somebody start to work with someone like you, Jessica? When's a good experience that they're having and they should think, oh gosh, I'm going to get help with this and I'm going to call Jessica? What would that look like?
So I offer obviously coaching for weight loss. My ideal clients are women in perimenopause, but I work with women who are from late 20s up to 60s. There's no like actual age limit. I mean, obviously above 18, adults only. And it depends on what goals are, because like I said, I offer coaching for that. And some women, weight loss isn't the goal, but some want more energy, to feel better, to just have, eat healthier foods. And with my coaching, I want to put this out there because I think people are like, oh, a nutrition coach, that means I'm like, have to eat everything healthy. I don't want to take away all of your joy, right? Like I use macro-based coaching for macro-based nutrition. So paying attention to protein, carbs, fats, calories. In a nutshell, it's more building a balanced plate. It teaches you how to fuel your body, essentially. So there's my point on I'm not asking you to get rid of everything. Like if you have a non-negotiable, if that's chocolate, if that's wine, if we're going to find a way that you can fit that in and still reach your goals. So yeah, they can, I mean, at any point, I guess it depends on the goals. And then I also offer functional lab testing. So like Dutch test, GI map, things like that. I have the ability to order regular labs. I use a company called Rupa Health. So it is an actual physician that orders the lab work. So if there's something that flags, obviously I'm going to recommend that you see someone, and I'm not going to provide your health care for you, but I can help get some answers as far as lab testing and things like that. So I'm not sure that there's necessarily an ideal time. I think it depends on like what someone's goals might be. As far as that goes, but yeah.
So Jessica, we talked about, and we've been focused primarily on the end of this scale that deals with you've had a menstrual cycle for a long while and things are not normal, and there's the change that's coming. What about at the other end where all of a sudden you start a menstrual cycle, or you are still young enough to have kind of just started down this journey, but things aren't feeling 100%. What about that end of the spectrum? What do you recommend?
So again, I think habits can make, like lifestyle factors can make a really big difference. We touched on alcohol earlier, which I'm sure is not what anyone who really enjoys alcohol wants to hear, but I mean, it is a known toxin, right? When it's in your body is not focusing on other things. It's focusing on eliminating that toxin. So that would be one of the, and I'm not saying everybody has to cut out alcohol, but like maybe dial it back a little bit. Investigate, like, how does it truly make you feel? Some other just lifestyle factors, focusing on taking care of yourself, and what does your eating look like? Are you feeling, is your typical intake like really processed foods? How many vegetables are you eating? Like, I mean, let's dive back to the basics on some of this stuff. Like, I'm not saying go to the gym 5 days a week, but like, are you at a desk all day, every day? Could you get up and walk around a little bit more and increase movement a little bit? I think some of those things can help. I think that there's a nice blend of lifestyle changes that you can make to help make yourself feel better. And again, I think starting that process early and bringing it up to a provider, knowing that it might take a little while, or you might have some changes, or maybe getting some baseline labs when you start noticing that like things are changing. And I know that a lot of providers won't do anything based on labs, but functional is always an option as well. Sandra, do you have some experience with functional testing? It sounded like a functional medicine.
No.
Okay. When I mentioned it, you made a comment, it made me think that you did. But
Annette has.
Oh, yeah, I had done some and got an answer when my primary provider, who I had known initially for 20 something years, is like, no, we don't test hormones. No, we do. We just know that they're subject to cycles.
Exactly. And that there's an optimal time to test for them.
No, you just get the blanket no. Yeah. So I had gone and gotten some answers. That was very helpful. Yeah.
So then if you're somebody who's like, I just want lab work, like reach out. I'm happy to make that a possibility.
That's great. And Jessica, you were telling us before we hit the go live button that there is like an audit that you have that might help somebody.
I would be happy to offer this to listeners, a hormones versus habit audit call, where by the end we can have a conversation to tell you, is it your habits? Is it your hormones affecting maybe weight loss, energy, things like that? You could DM me on audit on Instagram or email me with audit in the title, and I'd be happy to offer that.
Sounds good. I put your email address right in the chat. Can you see it there?
I don't. I'm sorry. Oh, you want me to? Yep, there we go. Okay.
Perfect. Great. So yeah, you can email Jessica right there, or you can respond to her Instagram account. And yeah. Wonderful. Great. So that let me say her email address out loud. Sorry. It is Jessica Osicki coaching at gmail.com.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then on Instagram, I am the macro MACRO _NP.
NP. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Jessica, I think what you're offering is just a safe place.
Absolutely.
For women to be listened to, and then to be validated that what they're experiencing is real, even if it doesn't have a label yet.
Yes.
And then different options to explore. What is it? How could I address it? How can I feel better?
Yes.
And I think those options are freeing because you know what they are, and you can finally feel heard, and then to be held by somebody that went through something very similar.
Yes. And I mean, if somebody just wants to have a conversation because maybe they're experiencing this or they're not comfortable talking with their like friends about this, like feel free. I am an open book and I am happy to just have a conversation. Like it doesn't mean because you reached out that you're committing to coaching or anything else for that matter. Like I'm a human being too, and I'm happy to have a conversation.
I love that. Thank you so much for the gift of your time. That's amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Again, if you want to connect with Jessica, you can find her via email or on her Instagram account, which is at the macro _NP, and reach out. I think it's good to have a conversation so that you know you're not crazy and you're not feeling dismissed all the time by traditional medicine. And Jessica, thank you again for sharing your expertise. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's a wrap on this episode of Exposing the Hidden Reality. If something hit home or made you snort laugh, tell us.
Seriously, we love hearing from you. Message us, tag us, or send us coffee. We love coffee.
And hey, leave a review. It helps more women find us and boost our egos.
Which are like fragile, like suspiciously fragile.
True. All right, until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and if all else fails,
blame the dog.
See you next time. Wait, did we stop recording?
No, we're still here. You have to push the red button.
Red button. Cool. Just eternal podcast.
Bye.
Bye.